This weekend, July 4th weekend, I am attempting to walk from Sierra City to Tahoe City along the PCT. It's about 77 miles, give or take. A lot of miles, a lot of heat. It should be an interesting trip. Today is Friday, and it's about 5:30 in the evening. My wife has just dropped me off at the trailhead near Sierra City, largely because she didn't want to get up at 4 in the morning to drop me off tomorrow. So tonight, I'm probably just going to walk about 6 miles, give or take, and find a place to camp, and then start the real hiking tomorrow morning. It's 7:30 and found a gorgeous little campsite. It's a little earlier than I wanted to stop, but according to the Gut Hooks app, this is kind of my last chance to camp near a water source tonight. So I am gonna go ahead and take the site. You know, I wasn't really supposed to start hiking until tomorrow morning anyway, but I could only get a ride up tonight. So anything I walked tonight was just bonus miles. Made it 4.5 miles. Not too shabby. So that's 4.5 less miles I have to walk the rest of the trip. Good morning. It's a little bit after 5. I've been up, I don't know, probably half an hour. Had to wait for there to be a little more light before I could talk to y'all. But the plan today is to get as close to the White Rock Lake area as possible. That's an area I'm pretty familiar with. Atticus and I hiked there when we summited Mount Lola. It's gonna be a long day, probably 24 to 26 miles, but I'm looking forward to it. It's gonna be a good challenge. Time to finish my breakfast and break down camp and hit the trail. So I'm trying something different with my food this trip. Typically I carry a lot of like Cliff Bars and Pro Bars and things like that. And I found over the last few trips that I don't really eat them. You know, they're convenient and their calorie per ounce ratio is great, but if I'm not eating them, it doesn't matter. So this trip, I'm not carrying any bars at all. I have a couple different mixes of trail mix, you know, dried fruit, nuts, granola, things like that. Some boil-in bag dinners, my usual breakfast of oatmeal and coffee, and a couple bags of dried chickpeas. So my food overall is about a pound heavier than it is normally for the same amount of calories. But if I'm going to eat it all, then that pound will disappear pretty quickly. So kind of an experiment to see if I can do a trip without any of those bars. I'm excited about it for a number of reasons. One, I don't really like the bars. And 2, I'll be generating way less trash. So I've been moving for about an hour, covered about 2.5 miles, keeping a nice steady pace. I'm really monitoring my pace this trip because I've got long day today, long day tomorrow, long day Monday, and I don't want to burn out. So keeping a steady, manageable pace is going to be pretty important for the whole trip. It's, you know, I've got all day. I really do. Like, it didn't get dark last night until about 9 p.m. So if I had to, I could walk till about 8 or 8:30 and still have enough daylight to set up camp and eat dinner and stuff. So just taking it kind of leisurely, but still walking with purpose and making sure that I'm covering the ground I need to, so that I can hit that 25, 26 mile mark today. Sun is officially up and it's already kind of hot. It's only 7 in the morning and it's a little warm. So just kind of need to strap in and embrace the heat. Running into a lot of northbound thru hikers today, which is kind of exciting. Wasn't sure how many I would see, just considering, it's July 4th weekend. But most of them I've talked to started about 50 to 60 days ago, so it makes perfect sense that they are where they are. I always like bumping into people and chatting them up a little bit when I can, so hopefully I'll run into some more. So if you've watched the last couple videos, the Tuttle Creek video or the Middle Palisades video, you'll know that I had some disappointments, we'll call them. And it feels really good to be on this kind of a hike. These big mile, long day, point-to-point hikes are my comfort zone. And it's not that I don't like the mountaineering side of things, I just like to keep those trips into like the easy class 3 neighborhood so that they're still fun. Kind of get outside of that to the harder class 3s and borderlining on those class 4 scrambles, and it just stops being fun for me, and it just kind of too much time in the sufferfest. So this is what I needed. This is perfect. I love these kind of hikes. Point-to-points and loops are by far my favorite way to spend time in the wilderness. Welcome to Pass Creek. Stopping for my first real break of the day. I can eat some food, re-up all my water. I'm only carrying about 1 liter at a time right now because water sources have been pretty plentiful. I know there are some dry patches coming up, but for now I think I'll stick to the 1 liter at a time and see how that does me. I'm drinking a lot more than I thought I would because it's really, really hot. So water has become my best friend. One of the best pieces of advice I ever received about doing long miles and big days is when you take your pack off, take your shoes off and let your feet air out, soak them in a creek or a river if you get a chance. And I'm taking that advice right now. This is a pretty nice little spot to hang out for a while. Well, I finally found the downhill section. It's been up all day, and now I'm on kind of a flatter, sometimes downhill part, which is nice. Just ran into two thru hikers, and they let me know that there is water sooner than that 8-mile mark that I was hitting. So that is excellent news. So just taking a little break in the shade here and work my way to that water source. I found the water source those thru hikers were telling me about. It's not much, just a trickle, but it was enough. I got a couple of liters, took some time, had to be pretty patient. But I have water now, and I found it, just in time. I just drank my last little swallow, and then I crossed this dirt road, this 4x4 track, and then maybe another 100 yards, and there was Lacey Creek. But like I say, it is slow. It took about a minute and a half to fill up a liter. There is a campsite here, but I'm not gonna stay here. I've walked just about 18 miles today. 2 or 3 more isn't gonna kill me, and I can get past that 20-mile mark that I was aiming for the day. I'm gonna sit here for a while. I'm gonna eat a bunch of calories, drink a lot of water, and everything I'm seeing now, there's water pretty regularly, so I'll probably leave here with a liter or so, and then fill up at every opportunity. So I stopped back at that little creek, eat a lot of calories and drink a lot of water and just relax a bit. Decided to pull out my footprint for my tent and lay down, and I ended up dozing off. I've kind of myself a little bit. So there's a campsite and a spring about 4 miles from here. I'm gonna hit that and see how I feel. And then White Rock is another 2 miles beyond that spring. So if I'm feeling really strong when I hit the spring, I'll push on to White Rock. If I'm not, I'll take that campsite by the spring. Luckily, because I started last night instead of this morning, I'm, 4.7 miles ahead of schedule. But yeah, unexpected naps, not good. I take that back. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Totally worth it. Starting to hear quite a bit of thunder. Some pretty gray clouds overhead. It seems like I might get lucky. It looks like they're moving away from where I'm going. But time will tell. So I had a bit of a dilemma. My stomach was getting a little upset, which happens to me when I overexert myself. So I had the choice of camping just after the spring or pushing on the extra 2 miles and actually meeting my goal for today. And I decided, with a little help from a thunderstorm, to listen to my body and stop. I think it was the right choice. I'm only 2 miles short of my goal, and I walked 5 almost yesterday, 4.7 I think it was. So those are all bonus miles, because I wasn't even supposed to get here until this morning. I feel good about my decision. I got here, set up tent. Some really kind folks allowed me to share their campsite because everything's full. But took a good 2-hour nap. It's almost 8 right now, and I'm finally just cooking dinner. But I feel 100% better after my nap and some Advil. So the lesson is, listen to your body, because had I pushed on the extra 2 miles, it's pretty likely I would have thrown up. Good morning. It's about 5 a.m. The plan for today is to get as close to White Rock Lake. I'm having trouble saying that today.